Good morning and happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Live Show, where I, Sunita, along with my two co-hosts, Tracy from Miss Tracy Kessler and Kelly from NOFO Endless Summer, we hop on every Friday and we chat about everything North Fork. I'm so not ready for summer to be over. I know that, Labor Day is just an unofficial end to summer, but I just love the beach weather, the warm water. I mean, August is really when I go into the water. So this is my month, and I can't believe it's coming to an end. I know there's a lot of beautiful things to do on the North Fork in fall, but I, for one, am going to hang on to summer as long as I can. It makes me so happy that there are still sunflowers dotting all the streets because, sunflowers are such a summer flower. So I'm super happy. The other day I was driving to Orient, and there's just several different stands with lots of cut. So I'm excited. I'm going to continue talking about summer for as long as I can before we have to use the F word. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hear Tilly.
Oh, yes. Yes, she's over there laying on the bed, hanging out.
So tell us all about your vacation. I've been watching
Yes.
your posts. Oh my God.
I'm loving Tilly's outfits. She's like, talk about the outfits, Mom.
Yes. Oh my God, we're having such a wonderful time. I always say this all the time, that she is forcing me to do the things that I was unable to do. And I've really disconnected from work and been able to be present with her and enjoy our time together. And, I shared in stories last night that I got a mother's helper, which, I fully recognize that not everybody has the means to do that, but it was something that I, felt like I needed to do. And I'm so glad I did it, because it has allowed us both to truly enjoy this week together. And, she can sleep and Mom can go down to the beach and read a book, which is like unheard of with a newborn.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been really great. And honestly, I don't know how I would have gotten all of our gear and her down to the beach. So for that alone, I'm thankful that I have help.
So tough. I remember those early mom days, all the lugging, all the stuff. You always forget something.
Yeah, well, over at Fire Island, they've built these like really high berms to keep erosion from, knocking down the houses.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like 40 steps up and then a long bridge and then 40 steps down. And I wouldn't be able to carry her and all the stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. I remember one time I had to go on the Long Island Railroad and they didn't have an elevator. And I had both kids by myself. So I had to give the stranger my baby to hold on the escalator so I could get up the Long Island Railroad.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sending mine off to college tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
For the second year.
Gosh.
My baby's heading to college.
Is this your youngest that you're sending off?
My oldest. My youngest is in 12. My oldest is in the second year.
Okay, I've done the journey sending my youngest. I'm trying to figure out which one was the hardest. I think the oldest was hard, but the youngest was hard too, because then it's like, this is it. Now, it's a whole other phase. So with children, babies, all of it, every stage is just an interesting experience, and you just have to ride it,
It's lovely, and they're all equally hard.
Yeah.
Different problems at different stages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But just real quick, is it me just that's hearing an echo, or is there an echo?
There's an echo.
Okay.
I hear it.
Okay.
Would it be me? Am I causing that echo?
I don't know.
I think you might be, because it only started when you came on.
Of course. I don't know how to fix that.
You're on one device, not two, correct?
One device.
Okay. Well, we'll
Nothing
just
else.
ride with it. What would the show be without tech issues every day? So welcome.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm only on one device. Nothing else.
So introduce us and tell us about your business and give us all the details.
All right. So I'm from Three Moms Organics. Jennifer Decker and myself made a product called Tickwise. I had neurological Lyme, and I couldn't use a deep product. So when I used deep product, I would feel very sick. So I had an IV catheter in my arm, and I had Jen's children in pre-K. I was working as a TA in pre-K. And she was like, wow, use essential oils if you can't use a deep product. Well, we made a product. The EPA, we were using pretty much Jen's oils, her recipe. And then the EPA came in after our first year, and they were like, no, you can't, you are considered a pesticide. Anything that claims to mitigate or repel an insect is considered an insecticide, a pesticide. So you have to follow all the rules of all the big companies.
Wow.
And because we're not, because we're made with all natural ingredients, we couldn't register with the EPA. So then what we had to do is register with every individual state, which is each state has a different idea of the umbrella that the EPA puts out there. So, yeah.
But can
So
we
they
just
have
go back?
different
Can we go back
interpretations.
to your Lyme journey for a second? Because I'm sure many people are
Sure.
interested in that.
Yeah.
We live in tech country here, So you got Lyme, and then you got what they would call long Lyme or complications from Lyme, or what
I
prompted?
was sick for a really long time. And the doctors just kept saying, oh, well, you have 2 small kids. You're stressed from that. Oh, you have, heart problems. That has nothing to do with this. It all started with one tick bite. I was in the hospital. They called a stroke code on me, but it was my left arm and leg and my right face and hand. And I'm like, that's not a stroke. I don't really know much, but I'm pretty sure that's not a stroke. I was in the hospital for about 5 days, and I left with a diagnosis of MS. They did MRIs, and I had lesions on my brain. About 2.5 months after that, my husband went through the same thing, except his was 10 times worse than me.
Yikes.
So he was in the hospital for 8 weeks. He left and lost control of his speech. He couldn't walk. He couldn't talk. Light was too bright. We were at Stony Brook, and they basically gave him last rites because his liver and kidney were shutting down.
Is this many years ago,
Kidneys.
before Lyme was a thing?
It should have been picked up still.
Okay.
It was only like 13 years ago. So
Okay.
it really should have been 14 years ago.
So
it should have been picked up.
Was it like almost immediately after you got the tick bite, or was it like months late? Like how close to getting bit to the symptoms did you have?
So I think I had Lyme disease for a long time before that. I always worked outside. I worked for the Bronx Zoo. I did a turtle study. I was always into science. I worked for natural resources for the town of East Hampton, and I landscaped. So I was always, working 3 jobs. Like that's what I did. And they were always outside. So I know that I had Lyme disease in the past, and we would treat it and then we would move on. This last bite, I was that one that put me in the hospital. I was sick immediately, immediately. I had a fever. I felt terrible. I couldn't get out of bed for about 2 days, and about 7 or 8 days later, I developed the rash. I developed the ring, which I was kind of lucky because that only happens to about 30% of the people. So lucky that I got the ring. Went to the doctor, and he's like, oh yeah, classic Lyme, we'll treat you. Well, with my first dose of antibiotics, I started getting this weird sensation on my skin, like it was raining, or by my second dose, I couldn't speak, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. I was a mess.
So the antidote, like the antibiotics is what caused that. That's wow.
Yeah, because
is this the doxycycline?
Doxycycline.
Okay.
And see, this is the problem.
I had a very severe reaction to it as well, which is why I'm checking if it's the same one.
Right. And here's the problem with that, and the doctors failed to tell you. So I would love everybody to really, really hear this. When you start antibiotics, Lyme disease is very acute to that. And so it has a big die-off all at the same time. And so what happens is it floods your system with all of their toxins. So now it looks like you're having a reaction to the antibiotic, but what it's actually called is a Herxheimer reaction, a Herxheimer. And so, but the doctors don't say, I'm going to give you this antibiotic and you may get sicker. If they said that every time, don't stop taking the antibiotics. Even if you feel sick, go to the hospital and we'll deal with it there. But they don't tell anybody that. So everybody's like, oh, I'm having a reaction to the antibiotics. Oh, this is, and it's not the antibiotics. It's actually the die out of the bacteria. So,
wow.
and I mean,
But to your point, it can make you feel sicker than the Lyme. So unless you're either ready for it or willing to go through it, like I said, I mean, obviously none of us are doctors, so we're giving our own medical experience of Lyme. I too had a very severe reaction to Doxy the first time that I tried to take it. So my doctor switched me to something else, which is not as strong, but it worked.
Right.
But then fast forward a couple of years later, and I got bit by the Lone Star tick. And the Doxy is the only treatment for that, right?
Yes.
So thankfully I was seeing a Lyme specialist by that point. So she said to me, and it was really scary to even hear that, she said, I was afraid because my reaction was so severe the first time. And she said to me, because of the type of the tick bite, it's different. So your reaction is different based on the tick bite. But she also said to me, if you're so sick and you need to go to the emergency room, we'll deal with that. But I don't want you to stop taking it, even if you get sick. And I was like, I'm on standby for an ER.
I just got the chills.
Yeah,
I just got the chills because that almost never happens. The doctor never says that.
Well, this was a Lyme specialist. This was a Lyme specialist. But I was thankful
I hear doggies barking.
But I was thankful that she said that because A, I was then steadied myself to take the dose, but B, because of the type of the tick bite, it releases different enzymes, blah, 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 whatever. And it didn't affect me the way it did when I tried taking it a few years ago. But all of this I'm really saying, and I want to talk about, is because honestly, prevention is so much better than trying to deal with the Lyme,
Yeah. Well, that's our point. If you don't get bit, you won't get sick. That's why we went into this.
So I would appreciate your guys' insight because, as a city person who really only started coming out here 10 years ago myself, and now with my kids, I don't think that I take the ticks and the Lyme and all that stuff serious enough. So in your opinion, Tracy and Sunita as residents of the North Fork, and also LJ as somebody, with expert knowledge, what should we be doing? What should I be doing with my kids? What should I be doing with myself?
Always put a repellent on, a repellent of your choice. Ours happens to be very good. We've had it tested in a national lab. We've done numerous field studies. I don't really care what you use, but use a repellent. You can put permethrin on your shoes, and a deep product. If you're not comfortable with permethrin, because it's a pretty nasty chemical, use a deep product on your shoes. It's a first line of defense. You can.
Is your product safe for children?
It is.
How
it does
young?
How
young?
We say 6 months and above, because babies have really sensitive skin. Up until they're about 6 months, I would spray their hats, their shoes, their car seat. You put, you carry the car seat, you put it down on the grass. I would spray the car seat. I would spray all of those, the blanket that they're laying down on the grass. Before that, at about 6 months, you can try. We always say test a patch of skin, make sure it's not an irritant. It does have peppermint oil in it, but it's at the appropriate doses where it doesn't cause problems. A lot of people kids shouldn't be using peppermint. But like I said, we've had it registered in all states, and they know what levels you can have within your product to make it safe for 6 months and above. Am I breaking up?
So I feel like it's a little bit. Everybody's kind of breaking up. Is it just me?
No, it's just the household Wi-Fi.
No,
We back?
Yeah,
We're back.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'm guilty of, even though everybody in my family has been bitten by ticks several times and had Lyme. Some have dealt with it much better than others. I'm definitely guilty of not using enough protection all the time, because it's kind of hard, because even, and we're talking about the North Fork, but prior to this, I lived 26 years in New Jersey, and really my Lyme journey is more from there and here, because we went back and forth. So it isn't really just a localized problem. It is perhaps even spreading to the cities. I mean, my family visited from India and we went to the lavender farm. I mean, nothing against the lavender farm, but just walking through there, there's a lot of, ticks that are on the flowers, the deer carry and
Absolutely.
whatever carries. And they were infected with it from, one visit here. So it's
Absolutely.
something that everybody.
I got
It's
bit
moving
this
across the
morning.
country. There's no state without it any
You
longer.
got bit this morning, did you just say?
No, I said this morning, but that was a mom brain. Earlier this summer, I got a tick embedded in my skin, and I was just sitting on my mom's lounge chair on her grass. Like I was, 3 feet above the grass.
Right.
And I got bit. And I'll tell you, I am fairly certain I have Lyme's disease right now, because when I went to the doctor and he offered me the antibiotics, he also told me I couldn't continue to breastfeed. And I chose to continue breastfeeding. And I'm wondering now, I mean, I actually, literally, this is so relevant to me right now because I just ordered a blood panel to check, because my ankles are, I can barely walk when I get up. Like there's so many aches and pains I have that have developed since I got bit that I just, it has to be related.
Wow.
So,
I mean, it has, if you leave these things go, it has neurological consequences. I mean, I forgot how to tie my shoes. I would bend over and I'd be like, I don't know what I had to stop driving. And I had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old because I wasn't making clear and rational decisions. I couldn't even turn on my sink. Like it had become extremely neurological for me. That's why I was on IV antibiotics for 3 months.
Wow.
So
the scary part is knowing, like, if you're a child and you get bit and then you go through all of these like symptoms, like you can't figure out that it was a tick that bit you. And like as a parent, you see your child going through all of these symptoms and not knowing what's wrong with them. And it could be something as crazy as a tick bite that turned into Lyme. Yeah.
Well, and the scariest part is the test that they do, the 2-tier ELISA and Western blot test, misses more than 70, can miss up to more than 70% of Lyme disease. And there's a bunch of different reasons for that, but those tests are really not great tests. It's all that we have right now, but they're not accurate. The CDC just put on those Lyme panels when you get that back that says this test may not be accurate. They were forced to do that because the tests were so inaccurate.
So since prevention is the best tool, let's talk about where we can get your products, because I'm sure many people listening here are going to run out and get them right now.
I have seen them at Seps Farm Stand, that's for sure. Where else on the North Fork?
We're at Seps. We're at Harbor Pets in Greenport. We love them. She was one of our first customers when we started. Riverhead Building Supply. We're in actually all 13 stores of them. They're right now our largest client. Seps, you said, Sangley Farms, and I love them over there. They're amazing. Seps I love too. Barth's in Jamesport.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Chicks Agway, Fit Foods, and Southold Pharmacy.
Awesome.
So we're in quite a few stores.
So now, tell us a little bit about. Sorry,
will you just DM us that list, one of us that list, so that we can put it in our stories later, so that we can tell everybody where to go?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Great.
Tell us a little bit about how to properly use the product, because on your Instagram page, there's this amazing video where you like spray paper and then put the ticks down, and the ticks like don't go on to where the spray is. So tell us how to properly use it.
You shake really well because it is oil, water, and vinegar. Doesn't mix well. You know, we do have some glycerin in there to kind of help disperse it, but it does settle out. So shake. And then don't miss a spot. Don't like just spray the front of your legs and go, okay, I'm fine. You need to spray your body down. It's the scent that they're repelled from. And if you miss a spot, they're going to find that spot. Like I should have done, my next thing is to do the pink page video, but like missing a spot, and they will all run through that spot. They will all find that they could. So just don't miss a spot. And that goes with any repellent. Like don't think by just going, you know, you're fine, because it's not the case. Like you really have to be
Well, it's
very diligent.
like sunblock. If you don't put it on a certain spot, you're gonna
You're going to get burnt.
Yeah.
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, some people
And
are like,
now,
oh, I have to spray it every hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm like, yeah, like sunblock.
yeah.
Like you have to put sunblock on more than that. Yes, it's natural. You
Yeah.
don't have nasty chemicals seeping into your skin.
Right.
So
Does
It actually
anyone else
smells
feel
great
bugs
too.
crawling on them right now? Because that's what's happening.
I'm sorry.
Tracy's got the heebie-jeebies.
I said, does anyone else feel bugs crawling on them right now?
Every time we do one of these things, everybody's like, oh my God, I'm so itchy.
Yeah, well, I'm also on Fire Island, so it's literally like Tick Haven here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Oh
No,
sorry.
my
it's definitely spreading all over the country. It's not,
God.
it used to be more isolated to areas that were more green, or definitely, we are near Lyme, Connecticut, where it started from. But it is something that, a lot of the country is dealing with and facing, and it's nice that there are
Yeah.
alternatives to the harsher chemicals.
Yeah.
So thank you
Inner
for,
cities too. Inner cities, like nobody, because because there's so many ticks are no longer just feeding off the mammals. Well, they're feeding off of birds, they're feeding off of toads, like, and birds travel, and birds travel to the city, and they fly through the
yeah.
city, and they fly through it's no longer a localized problem. And in some ways that's good because it's bringing national attention. But in other ways, it's really bad because doctors in other areas, you come here for a weekend, you get bit, and you go back to Minnesota where they don't have ticks. They're not going to recognize that these are
Yeah.
what's going on,
Yeah.
okay, I have a fun question, because I was mentioning to my kids that the person on the show was going to be Three Moms Organic, and they wanted to know who the three moms are. So I was looking it up. So I want to know how you came up with the name. It
So
sounds
Jen and I, we both like the number 3, and the third mom is our consumer. We wanted to bring people in and feel like they're part of us trying to help everybody else. It's important to be able to bring. I want people to be so aware, and I want them to feel that they are part of the solution and not part of the problem. And so that's how that came up.
I love it. When I read that, I thought that was so cool. It's,
It
Yes,
is.
you
thank
two
you.
moms, and the third mom is us. That's a good.
And
That's
the
great.
idea that you're not putting harsh chemicals on your kids is just so comforting, I think, as a mom. And especially now knowing the frequency at which you have to put on any kind of repellent or product, knowing that it's
Right.
something that you feel comfortable with putting on your kid's skin, even up to like a 6-month-old baby, is like, so precious to a mom who's like trying to think of all the things all the time,
All the things all the time. And this is but always, every day you're out, every day, check your children. If you find yourself in a tick nest, take those clothes immediately off, throw them in a dryer for 2 hours to kill the ticks. Don't put them in the washing machine. Always have a lint roller. Like, we have a tick kit. I wish I had one out here that has a small lint roller. Always have a lint roller with you. Always have tweezers with you. Our tick kit obviously has everything. But make sure your yard, you can Google how to landscape your yard for the least amount of ticks.
Wow.
I personally don't like to spray chemicals on my yard. That's my, I don't want to. I don't want to hurt anything else. The collateral damage of spray is pretty huge, but I don't judge anybody's decision to do so. But it's, there are a lot of things that you can do to make sure that you are safe, and that the tick checks every night are super, super, super important. There are some diseases that you can get within a couple of minutes of being bit, a half hour of being bit. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Everybody's always just talking about Lyme, but there's Babesia, there's Ehrlichia, there's the alpha-gal, which is, you get bit by a Lone Star tick and you can't eat meat, and maybe not ever again.
You're talking the story of my life now, because that's my latest complication. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
Mm.
Some people can't even put pocketbooks over their leather pocketbooks over their shoulder
Wow.
anymore, or can't be in a room where people are cooking bacon. I had my business partner, Jen, had alpha gal, and she was, every time she ate meat, but what's interesting is it's 8 hours later. It's
Mm.
different than most food allergies. So
Mm.
people don't equate them to the same thing.
So
Interesting.
you said has she been able to take care of it?
She has
Interesting.
and here's another really interesting fact. If you get bit by a Lone Star tick, or you step in a tick nest, you're not sure if they're Lone Star or Lyme ticks or deer ticks, do not eat meat for 2 weeks. It is harder for your body, like not even a bite. It is harder for your body to develop that allergy.
Interesting.
Just like kids with peanut butter or strawberries, you don't feed it to them until they're 3. If you avoid that, if you prolong that, it has less, it won't affect you as much. And that comes straight from the alpha gal guru, the doctor.
Mhm.
You know,
You know,
they're,
you just said something important too that I just want to share a really quick story. Many years ago, Charlie, who's right here, Charlie and I were here on Fire Island. We've been coming here our whole lives, and he walked through some grass and picked up a tick sack, which is
Wow.
like a little. I'm just telling the audience, it's like a little white thing. It almost looks like a cotton ball.
Mm.
And I didn't know that he did that. And we went back to New York City. We were living in New York City at the time. And about 2 weeks later, the ticks hatched in my apartment. And I
Oh my
had
God.
like, I'm getting like chills right now, thousands and thousands of ticks in my apartment. But they were so small that they looked like poppy seeds. Like, had I not
right.
been educated on ticks in general, I wouldn't have known what the heck was happening. They were
Oh my
so
God.
small. It was terrible. I had to throw out my mattress. I had to throw out my couch.
That's like something out of a horror movie.
It was, and it was 2 weeks later. So if
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
know, like we were on Fire Island, it was, it was really, ugh, it was
Yeah,
really bad.
it's gross.
Yeah.
They're gross.
Okay, so
I mean,
the message we want everybody to take away is do what you can to prevent getting a tick bite, because we could talk about Lyme and complications and all the stuff of it for days to come, because there's so many people impacted by it. Now, I'm looking at the 3 bottles behind you. Are those 3 different sizes? Are those the products?
yeah,
I
we have
like the
4.
mini one. I keep it in my
We
car.
have the large 16 ounce, which is my favorite. I love the trigger sprayer. We have an 8 ounce, which has a pump sprayer, but we might be changing to the trigger sprayer because it's so effective, that trigger sprayer. It has a nice stream. Then we have a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, which is great to just throw in your bag. And we have a 2 ounce, which is good to just throw in your pocket. You should always have repellent on you. I have it in every place, every car. My family has it in every car. We have it in every backpack, and the different sizes make it much more versatile.
I have a very important question based on that. So I have a spray that I had been carrying around with me, and it's organic, and every time I put it in a bag, it leaks all over the place. And then all my clothes, all the kids' clothes smell. It's like terrible. Is yours leak proof?
I can attest that it is. I throw mine in my bag all the time.
Okay.
So, I mean, it really depends. One time it did leak in my bag, but the cap wasn't closed enough.
Okay.
Just really make sure the cap is closed.
Yeah.
That's, make sure that you have it nice and tight. From using it and pumping it, the cap loosens. So any repellent that you use, just make sure that it's, before you throw it in the bag, really tighten that.
Is it something we can buy online, or is it something in store?
Absolutely. 3momsorganics.com.
Awesome.
So we're online. We're in over 100 stores, and we're moving quickly kind of across the country. So, yeah, because ticks are moving quickly across the country.
Yeah.
So it's, people are as we become more and more aware of what we're putting onto our bodies and the effects that it has on us later, it really has opened our eyes to other ways of doing things. And this could be one of them, but you really have to be diligent. Don't rely on not a DEET repellent, not permethrin, not anything 100%.
Mm.
It will cut your chances down by like 90, 99%, but you still have to check every night. And
Yeah.
you still have to be diligent. Don't think, oh, I put repellent on, I'm fine. Whatever repellent, even if it's, like I said, the chemical ones. Nothing is 100% effective.
Somebody
Like
has
I said,
a question on how to, any suggestions on, go
Oh, I
ahead.
just answered.
The question was how to clear a pump spray, and Kelly answered it, soak it in warm water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's an oil, the warm water kind of like releases anything that's stuck in the pump.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe we're at our time at 9:30. This was so informative. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about
You're welcome.
this.
I love joining you guys. You know, I've been watching for a while whenever I find myself having a little bit of free time. So I love listening to you guys.
Thank you.
You guys are fun. It's just a fun.
Thank you so much. And we will post, if you send us the list of all the places on the North Fork where we can find your product, we will post it on our stories for anyone watching.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. They can go and visit those places and pick it up.
Well,
appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. I know it's hard sometimes for people to join live, so we have started posting our replays. I mean, I saved them here on Instagram, but we also have a YouTube channel where you can go rewatch some of the previous guests that we've had. There's so much information about the North Fork in general, and we just love doing it, and we so appreciate you coming on and talking about this important topic, and more importantly, creating something that can help us all.
Yeah, I love you guys. You guys, you always make me smile. I'm always smiling when I watch it.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, it works
Enjoy
for
your
dogs
Friday.
and horses too.
Yeah,
so great.
Good to know. Good to know.
And
well,
horses
enjoy
too.
your weekend, ladies, and we'll catch you guys next Friday.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.